Welcome, everyone. This is Experts for Backup Recovery in a Hybrid Cloud Environment. My name is Tim Bittenbender. I am a Senior Field Solutions Architect with Connection. And a lot of the solutions that I deliver for customers are around backup recovery within the hybrid cloud. I also want to introduce Chris Matthews.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Matthews. I am the HPE GreenLake Solutions Specialist here at Connection. I've been with Connection for around almost 10 years. It's going to be 10 years in April. And most of that is supporting HPE. And in October of 2020, I took on the role of HPE GreenLake Solutions Specialist. And for those of you who don't know, HPE GreenLake is everything as a service at HPE. And when we at Connection are one of the leading providers of HPE GreenLake. So happy to have you guys and gals on and excited to speak to you today.
Okay, so in the introduction here, we're going to just talk a little bit about what are some of the challenges and insights around backup recovery, especially around hybrid cloud, right? So some of those challenges, those insights we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what is HPE GreenLake, right? We'll talk about really what is included in GreenLake and benefits. And we'll also talk about the HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery product in the portfolio. With that, let's talk a little bit about challenges within backup and recovery today. As you'll note that with any type of cloud, public, private, you may have a large number of, let's say, unmanageable complexity. You have different backup recovery products for your on-premises solution. You have some that are also in cloud. They may be different, right? I'll look at this at 3 C's is what I call it: cost, right? Multiple solutions, higher cost for licensing, management, cost of data loss, unplanned downtime that you may have, and cost of remediation. I mean, how much is it going to cost you to get back and working, the business actually working again? We also have to look at complexity, right? Multiple solutions, many consoles, multiple management interfaces, as well as consistency, right? It's not integrated, right? We don't have a single type of backup recovery tool set. We may have multiple tool sets. With that, we're going to talk about things like compliance, regulations, right? Legal requirements that we have to maintain, right? Unless we have some type of incident, right? We have to show what we have done, right? Reports, right, is a big thing that we need to look at. Exponential data growth that we have, right? So whether that is across a public cloud or private cloud, other environments, this is going to be really difficult to manage, right? We also have to look at things like a shared responsibility model, because typically when you're working with a cloud workload, you're responsible for backing up your operating system, your applications, your data. That's not on the cloud provider. They're just providing infrastructure. And then we can also look at different types of cyber, right? Cyber attacks, cyber security. You know, how can we ensure that we have the ability to secure our data, right? And then lastly, increasing workload types, variations, dependencies across environments, or we may have certain applications in a public cloud, but maybe other applications in a private cloud that they have to work together. So how do we actually look at those challenges, right? As you'll see here, some of the insights, as you'll see in this slide, a lot of it around growth of data, right? If you look at some of these numbers, it's really kind of staggering. 99% of IT and storage professionals say they move data between these locations, right? Most are having these availability gaps, which they can't recover the data, right? And their applications may not meet certain service level agreements, SLAs. We also may have some additional complexity, right? Maybe you have certain types of data platforms out there that you're not really backing up or you can't report on. And then increased costs. So how do we actually mitigate this and look at this risk that we have within a backup recovery solution across a hybrid cloud? Chris?
Absolutely. So thanks, Tim. One of the ways that as Connection we can deliver value in this space is through some of the OEMs that we support, and specifically HPE and HPE GreenLake has a software as a service solution called HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery. What I wanted to do is I want to talk a little bit about that, but first introduce HPE GreenLake as a whole. As we see in our daily lives, as we see certainly growing in the IT space, as a service is growing exponentially in popularity. So, and for what reason? It solves for a bunch of things. Something along the lines of faster value. You don't have to worry about capital expenditure. In some instances, especially with public cloud and specific private and hybrid cloud areas, you can accelerate some of these deployments from months to minutes, right? ROI from years to days, because your spend is aligned to your usage. And what that does is it allows you to be agile and move wherever the market goes and deploy things, with very rapid speed and rapid scale. With, again, everything, who's buying movies nowadays. We have Netflix, who's buying music. We have Spotify. All these cloud economics are playing in the IT space as well. So again, allows us to be nimble on the technology front, but it also allows us to be nimble on the financial front as well. So whether you lock in rates for specific terms or you go month to month, you have that financial flexibility. It also frees up some of the IT resources that are in your organization to do some of the innovative work, and instead of just kind of doing keeping the lights on, making sure that the lights are blinking and that the drives are okay, and all the firmware updates and all that sort of stuff. Let somebody like Connection or HPE take care of that, so you can bring your company forward through IT through innovation. And lastly, for on-premise environments, like a hybrid solution that we are going to be talking about today, it gives you the proper control of your data because there is an on-premise component to this. So the data is within your four walls, within your security practice, and it helps with things like compliance and security and things along those lines. So well, we have that as an entire platform, and the specific one that we're talking about is HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery. And the three things that you should take away from this session is that it is simple. We call it effortless, efficient, and because we all know efficiency is fantastic for performance, it's fantastic for financials, and most importantly, your data is secure both on-premise and in the cloud space that is also a part of this offering. Real quick, the setup of this environment is it's 5 clicks, 3 steps. Basically, it's something that you allocate the resources, you configure your backup policies, and then you apply. Very, very simple. These things, the environments that we back up today are VMware, Microsoft SQL, and some of the Amazon instances like EKS, EC2, RDS, etc. One of the other ways that it's effortless is you have a single pane of glass. I know we talk about that all the time for some of the other tools that we have, but it's truly, for across those environments, right? Generally with backup on premise and backup in the cloud, it's 2 different scenarios. This one is a single pane, which makes it super easy to keep your eye on both your spend, your financial spend, and also the performance of it. It's efficient because we use a variety of different things to make sure that we're only writing the things that we need to write both on premise and the cloud. We do source side source side deduplication and compression for minimal data movement across the WAN. We also, again, because it's a one solution backup for multiple workloads, you don't have to worry about going here and going there for any of your various, workloads. So, and lastly, it is secure. It is encrypted both at rest and in the cloud, and traversing over the wire. So you have just the confidence to know that none of that is being intercepted. It is immutable data, and any destructive applications will require two people or to approve that. So it's kind of like the nuclear codes. Two people have to turn the key, right? Same thing here. So there's no oopses. As I can't, there's no way that you can accidentally delete the data. And it is air gapped from your production environment. So if you do have an event in one area, your backups are protected. Lastly, if you are already an HP customer and are taking advantage of things like Alletra storage or Primera storage, you already have access to the Data Services Cloud Console within the GreenLake Cloud Platform. So you're already familiar with that, and there's other offerings as well in there that are integrated with backup and recovery, like Private Cloud Business Edition, etc. So this is all part of the HPE GreenLake ecosystem. So if you're already a customer, fantastic. If not, there's an easy way to be a part of this. Next slide, please. And the way that you can do that is with a zero commitment, 90-day free evaluation of the product. There will be a webinar that kind of goes deeper into the HPE GreenLake backup and recovery solution. We'll have demo. We'll have, it'll go deeper into some of the details of the offering. But if you guys are seem to be interested as of right now, you can go to the link that that is in this presentation, or you can sign up at connection.com. There's a sub-site that will allow you to do that. And it is a 90-day free evaluation. You have the ability to use both the on-premise and a limited trial of the cloud storage solution to basically spin it up and see how it works for you. So we invite you to do that. And certainly if you have questions, we are going to take some here live, and we're going to post some answers to questions that are submitted in chat if we don't get to them all within the time that we have.
Yeah, great, Chris. And just so everyone knows, you will have access to this the slide deck, and the links. You will also notice some additional materials, resources for you to look at. There are some additional demos, quick specs, white papers, as well as a sign up if you want to actually go in and do the 90-day trial. That will be available to you as well. So we're going to start going ahead and answer some of the questions that we have. Let me go back one slide. Let me bring up some of these questions. Hopefully we'll answer a few of these for everyone.
So it looks like there's a first question here. The question is there VMware support, or is this our own hypervisor? If there is a way to migrate, if so, one of the fantastic things about the solution is that it actually started out just backing up VMware, and it expanded into Microsoft SQL. It expanded into some of the other Amazon, some of the Amazon instances, and HP is committing to expand this further for some other options as well. One of the great things about software subscription that you get updates, access to updates over time. So yes, this is VMware support. It uses the change block tracking within VMware to use some of those efficiencies, so that again, we are only sending unique blocks across the WAN and storing those locally. So no need to, no need to migrate. It works natively with VMware. So good question. Thank you. Looks like we got another one. Bradford asks, what is a typical percentage increase for GreenLake costs for use in budget projections? The way that this works is it is a subscription and consumption offering at the same time. So what we do is you commit to a usage if you're going to do this as a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year commitment to the solution. You can commit to usage over time, so you pay that as a subscription. But if you need more, either cloud storage or if we're protecting more VMs or instances, as we call it, assets, then you have committed to, then you are charged per asset or per gigabyte of usage after that. So realistically, if you commit low and you use more, then yes, your bill might go up over time. Or if you want basically a static bill, that commitment, you can almost overcommit a little bit, just so that the budgeting is not an issue. But usually, if you're growing the number of VMs or you're growing the amount of cloud storage, I mean your organization is growing as well. So yeah, you might have a small bump in your monthly bill, but generally that's taken care of by increased revenue and profit as well. So. And so if you are a static environment and you want to commit for a long amount of time, 3 or 4 or 5 years, you have the ability to lock in lower rates. Or if you want to take this a year at a time and see, and adjust your commitment every year, you can do that as well. So there's a lot of flexibility within the program. Let's see, we got another one. Arwin, how do you work to manage transaction costs in the cloud? What the great thing that you'll find is because of our unique partnership with Amazon Web Services, who is delivering the cloud storage portion of this, we have worked with them to include all egress charges and things along those lines in our pricing. So what you see for pricing, what you see is as your commitment, is there's going to be no additional fees, cloud charges on top of that do not relate to and map to usage. So as long as you're using your commitment or you're not going over your commitment, there are no extra fees or charges based on egress charges or other cloud charges.
I'll take the next one, Chris. I think this is Martin. Sure. How do you monitor and manage backup and recovery operations across diverse hybrid cloud environments? Good question. Given these workloads, environments can be different across this hybrid cloud landscape. You don't have a single pane of glass. It's very hard to manage that. So with the HPE GreenLake for backup recovery, you have a single pane dashboard. This is through the DSCC. And in other words, you're going to have a single dashboard. So it's going to give you simplicity with automation. So it's going to allow you to protect the workloads. Within minutes, you have a very simple wizard for management, visualization of the protected workloads that you have, and also for automated protection and using protection groups. The second part, what tools or platforms do you use for centralized monitoring, reporting, and troubleshooting? Really, this is all around the GreenLake platform, around backup and recovery, but also using things like authentication, where you may use a multi-factor authentication through the Data Services Cloud Console. You can also review all the backups through a single pane, including your current state of all your backup jobs, your protection groups, and your logs, and also centralized reporting. Okay, we have another one, Rakesh. What strategies and best practices do you employ to ensure data consistency and integrity across hybrid cloud environments during backup and recovery operations? Basically, there's a strategy that we've been using for best practices called the 3-2-1 rule. You may have heard of it, right? I'm going to have at least 3 copies of my data, including my production data. have two different types of media, whether it's cloud or disk-based backups or a mixture of other media. It could be tape, right? And one of the copies of your data offsite. Number two would be logically air gapping your backups. In other words, not having access to, let's say, that offsite copy or on a different media, different location. Number three would be principle of least privilege, right? This would include role-based access control, multi-factor authentication, account management, right? Would be that one. Four would be immutability. That means that I'm going to have like a read once, write once, read many worm type of technology where you have integrity, given you cannot change the data once it's immutable. Number five would be encryption to prevent theft. And then six, monitoring and incident response, right? How do I monitor? How do I respond to an incident? And then lastly, just being proactive, right? What are your backup policies? What are your security configurations, your validation, like audits for backups? Have you tested your restores, your processes? So that would be really around what are these best practices and strategies that you could use.
Tim, you want to take this one as well from Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So with HPE's recommendation for cloud backup in HPE SimpliVity environment, well, it has some good news. HPE does have support for SimpliVity within HPE Backup and Recovery product. It is a new feature that's coming out. I believe it's going to be out in the next release, my understanding. And it will allow you to back up to any type of cloud repository. It doesn't have to be a specific HPE cloud repository, but there are going to be other vendors that can be supported for it that would include SimpliVity. Chris, you want to take the next one, please?
Sure, yeah. So this is Abilene. Can you discuss the scalability and elasticity of your hybrid cloud backup and recovery solution? How do you accommodate fluctuations in data volume and backup workload without compromising performance or exceeding budget constraints? Pretty easiest way that I can address this is that within the backup and recovery solution, you're backing up to an on-premise storage array. So one of the ways you can do that is just ensure that if there's any growth that is going to happen within your environment, just account for that if you have an existing array, just account for that in the storage. If you're looking to purchase a new array, then we can do that via the GreenLake model. We can start small and then add disk as we need it with our infrastructure as a solution offering. For the cloud offering, the cloud storage offering, the sky's the limit there, right? It's almost an infinite pool of resources without exceeding budget constraints. One of the ways that we do that in the backup and recovery model is that that efficiency, right? We only write the blocks that have changed. We do source side deduplication and compression to minimize, you're never going to eliminate budget overages potentially. But again, because it is a consumption model, generally something like that is because either it was a prescriptive change that you've deployed new VMs because you have an increased amount of applications, or the amount of data that you're backing up as a result of some business performance, and that will better align to your uptick in revenue and profit. So this is why the consumption method is so great, because the things that lead to an increase in cost generally as a result of an increase in performance. So they kind of pay for themselves in that regard. Tim, how about that last one?
Okay, so I believe this is from James. How do you ensure that failover processes are executed smoothly and efficiently during a disaster scenario? Typically, you're going to use some type of orchestrator. So that orchestrator is going to have, in a sense, a run book, a script. And with that script, it's going to actually play back that recovery scenario that you need. And within HPE GreenLake for backup recovery, you do have the ability to go in and have an orchestrator, data orchestrator. So this can be actually automated. So you can actually test, which is one of the recommendation best practices, that you can recover, from a disaster scenario. One
Cool.
more? Sure.
Go for it.
Oh, versioning and retention policies from Peter for backup data in a hybrid cloud environment. Yeah, good question. So when you're looking at data retention policies in retention, again, let me look at this. It's really based upon the type of data you're looking at. Are these backup data from databases, line of business applications, and you really need to look at how many versions to retain is really based upon those factors of recovery. What's your recovery point objective? What's your recovery time objective, right? How long that you need to keep them also goes back into regulatory legal practices that you have to look at. So within that, looking at these decisions and versioning, I think the biggest impact is most companies keeping things too long. And what I mean by that is that you may say, hey, I have a backup that may be 30 days, but then I am actually also keeping snapshots for 2 weeks. All right. So the question is going to be, well, why do you have multiple backups that are pretty much the same retention period? So really look at this based upon, like I mentioned, 3-2-1 rule and best practices, but also what are some of the legal regulations that say, hey, I have to maintain certain copies for a specific period of time. And then really what am I going to recover when I'm actually have a incident, right? Is it something where I'm missing data loss, right? Or if I've been impacted by ransomware, right? I always want to try to get the quickest recovery that I can from the latest. And if I have the latest backup available to me, let's say even if it's in a cloud repository that is in a sense immutable, I can recover that fairly quickly and I can get the business back up online.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Thanks everyone for joining, and apologies if we had a couple of minutes of technical difficulties. If technology wasn't a pain, I don't think any of us would have jobs, right? So appreciate you sticking with us. There will be more answers to more questions on connection.com. And I think in our LinkedIn page. But thank you again, everyone again, and stay tuned for an announcement on the second webinar going deeper into HPE backup and recovery, GreenLake for backup and recovery. And if you have any questions, certainly let us know. But head to connection.com as well to sign up for that 90-day free trial. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.